Hello and welcome everybody. Today we're going to talk about the small changes we have to make after 65. Getting older is different, but it comes with so much great knowledge. As we've talked about already, it doesn't happen all at once. One day you realize you just act and react differently. And maybe the strangest part of all, you start changing habits you never thought twice about before. For me, one of the biggest lessons I taught myself was this: slow down, look down, and sit down to put on your pants. Now that may sound funny, but it wasn't funny at the time. A lot of people underestimate how quickly a fall can change your life. Honestly, when older people started talking about falling, that used to irritate me to no end when I was younger. I didn't want to hear about it. I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to get old, but here we are. One of the most important things that I learned through experience, broken elbows, broken ankle, a few hard falls, every one of them taught me something. When you're younger, you recover so nice and fast. As you age, falls become more serious. Recoveries take longer, and suddenly little decisions matter much more than they used to. That's why I wanted to make this video. Not to scare anybody, but to talk honestly about the small adjustments that helped me stay safer and hopefully will help you. And you and I know our independence is our freedom. Point 1, slow down. The first thing I had to learn was to slow down, and I mean physically slow down. I used to rush everywhere. My normal walk was very fast-paced. I worked, I had kids, there was always something to do or somewhere to get to, and I didn't like to waste time. At work, I was a machine. At home, I was a mom of 3 super rowdy boys. So it was always fast-paced. Walk fast, turn quickly, move automatically without thinking. But eventually my body had changed even though my mind still thought I was younger. That mismatch can get people hurt. It got me hurt. I was asleep one night. I woke up to go to the restroom. No problem, right? I had just put in new floors in my house. I also had a dog which was a Collie Shepherd Chow mix. He was gorgeous, and he always slept on the floor by the foot of my bed. When I got out of bed, I started to the restroom in my normal fast pace. No lights were on. When I got by the foot of the bed, I tripped over my dog. I went flying into the door jamb of the restroom. Not falling, flying. One of my elbows was caught in the door jamb so deep that the wood had a dent in it. And no, I'm not kidding. Needless to say, this landed me in the ER. Then the orthopedic surgeon's office, then a trip to the hospital to get my elbow put back together. I hadn't just broken my elbow. It shattered so much, they were finding pieces of it near my collarbone. So we don't bounce anymore. And sometimes we don't even break. We shatter. Weeks later, what I hadn't taken the time to notice is that my dog matched my new floors exactly. He was freaked out by the incident, but not hurt, thank goodness. Now we come to where pride gets involved. You don't want to think about it or admit it to yourself. What am I doing wrong? Then reality slaps you upside the head. Maybe I shouldn't move like I'm 35 anymore. Aging has a way of forcing honesty on you really quick. And there's wisdom in slowing down. Not weakness, wisdom. Point 2, look down. The second thing I learned was to look down. Younger people may not understand this. I get that. But as you age, we know little things become more dangerous. Uneven sidewalks, rugs, cords, wet floors, poor lighting, curbs, pets under your feet. Common one. Things you never noticed before suddenly start mattering. I started paying much more attention to where I placed my feet. And that one habit alone made a huge difference in my life. Most falls aren't dramatic. They happen during ordinary moments when you're just going about your day. Point 3, sit down to put on your pants. Okay, let's talk about the pants. I know it sounds funny, but it wasn't funny then. Most people stand on one foot while putting on pants, right? That's a fall waiting to happen for a lot of us. I used to do it. One day I was getting dressed for work, put on my pants, lost my balance, and I ended up flopping around on the floor like a fish out of water. Not a pretty sight, trust me. I lay there frustrated and then just started laughing at myself because I looked like an idiot. And after enough injuries, I finally said, "This is just ridiculous." Now I sit down to put on my pants. Simple. Takes 10 extra seconds. But those 10 seconds are a whole lot better than another broken bone. And honestly, aging well often comes down to small adjustments, exactly like that. Point 4, accepting adaptation. I think one of the hardest parts of aging is realizing you do need to adapt, because things aren't the same. Deep down, many of us still picture ourselves younger than we are. One of the funniest things about this is our minds are still young. This is something a lot of young folks don't understand about us. So many of them think just because we look older that we're some type of crypt keepers. That's definitely not the case. Using the wisdom that you're blessed with now is very smart. Using better lighting, and yes, that means night lights. Holding railings, wearing the proper shoes, moving carefully, removing trip hazards. Those aren't weaknesses, they're strategy. And I think too many people resist these changes because it feels like admitting defeat. I don't see it that way anymore. I see it as protecting our freedom. Point 5, stay in your home. Most seniors want to stay in their homes as long as possible. Not because we're stubborn, not because anything like that. Home matters. Familiar surroundings matter. Comfort matters. Independence matters. But staying independent safely usually requires adapting. The people who age successfully are often the people willing to make those practical adjustments early instead of waiting until after a major injury. Aging teaches us humility, but it can also teach us wisdom. And sometimes wisdom sounds like slow down, look down, and sit down to put on your pants. That may not sound profound until you've learned it the hard way. One of the best parts of growing older is on top of the wisdom you learn an entirely different new humor. I can't tell you how many times a day I laugh at myself when I do something stupid. It actually makes my day. Please like this video, and if you aren't subscribed, consider hitting that subscribe button and leave me a comment. I'd really like to hear from you. Have you had to make any little adjustments in your life as you've gotten a little bit older? What adjustments made the biggest difference in your life? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.